Welcome to Unpacked, real conversations for diplomatic partners who are ready to unpack more than just boxes. This is the space for the brave questions, the messy middles, and the quiet decision to stop shrinking and start showing up fully. Talk identity, purpose, transitions, and what it really takes to feel at home in a life that's always moving. Because you've always been more than the label, and this is where we say it out loud. Hi, I'm Anna, and I am with my co-host Emma. Hi everyone, and welcome back to our sixth episode of Unpacked. Hi Emma, how have you
Hello.
been?
Oh, it's been so lovely, thank you. I'm still enjoying a little bit of the summer holidays and slowly doing a little bits of work, but just trying to ultimately just take a bit of a break from the fast paced life that normally happens during term time for me. How about you, Anna? How's your week been?
Same here, enjoying the summer and being rather than doing, but I have one little or big win actually I'd like to share with
Oh,
you.
yes, please.
I did my first solo driving in Beirut. And
Wow.
to give you some context, it's absolute madness here because
Yeah.
there are no rules. There are now, thanks goodness, some working stoplights, but there are no
Woohoo.
lanes. It's like it's everyone comes and goes and stops and does and talks and drinks when driving. Scooters come both directions, lanes merge like in a matter of seconds, and I haven't driven on the right hand side of the road. Plus, I
Wow.
haven't driven for the last, I think, 3 years. So it was a huge, huge, huge thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
congratulations! It is a
Thank
such a,
you.
it is a such a huge thing to get yourself out driving in a new country.
Unbelievable. Yep.
And I mean, and then to face the fact that, the challenge of having to drive on the other side of the road,
Hmm.
whole of the new systems, knowing the way, what to do, where to go.
Yep.
I bet you were exhausted after.
Well,
Or
that's so
liberate,
funny.
or exhilarated.
Exactly, because well, yes, it was very stressful, but
Yeah.
because everyone is honking here, okay? And
Yeah.
for the first time I drove literally 40 kilometers per hour, and I was really annoying everyone. Everyone around me was honking, and I felt like a royalty. I really felt like I love you too. I love you too. I wanted to wave to say, hey guys, I'm driving. I was so
Yes.
happy, so pleased
Ah,
with myself. So I really felt like, oh my God, I grew wings.
yeah.
So yeah, that's how I felt.
Have you been out since?
Yes, I
Oh
drove
my
to the
goodness.
beach with the kids yesterday. I was really out
Oh
of
my
town. I was
gosh.
on the highway, but it's like, yes, I have to admit, my daughter said, Mom, I was a bit car sick. I think I'm still getting used to it and just well, there is so much happening around you. And it's so funny how the Lebanese drivers instructors tell us, when you drive here, you just look ahead of you. You stay in the
Yes.
left lane, that's actually supposed to go the fastest, even if you drive 40 kilometers per hour. You
Yeah.
just ignore everything. You don't look behind, you don't look at the sides, you just go.
Yes.
They all take care of themselves.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting piece of advice.
Wow. Well, I mean, I've heard that advice too. Ultimately, you can only worry about the person who's right in front of you. You know?
Here you go.
And then as long as you don't erratically move, then you should be okay. Everyone else will move around you. Oh,
Exactly.
it's a huge thing because, I've driven living in Dubai. That was the biggest change for me because Dubai is fast chaos,
Yes.
and I remember that took me about 3 to 6 months of living there before I would drive anywhere on my own. And then when I moved to Pakistan, I was like, oh, I'm driving back on my normal side of the road. Um, and, I think it was probably that my first week in Pakistan, actually, I was like, right, come on, Emma, you're going
You
to
can do
do
it.
this. I was driving, I'd been out, maybe I hadn't been out with my husband and we've done a practice route. No, I don't think we had done a practice, but we'd done the route with him driving, so I knew
Mhm.
where I was going. I was like, mentally, I'm there. I get in the car, get all the way there, and in Pakistan they have like red lights that flash, which are really quite concerning, because you're like, is this actually a red light or is it not a red light? And then they have amber lights that just constantly flash, and yeah, it's a bit confusing. And I'd been watching Andrew drive, and I was like, okay, yeah, he goes through amber lights here, this is how it works. And in fact, if there's a traffic light and it's red, you can still turn left. That's okay. You don't actually have to stop at red lights. News to me. So I went out driving, and all I was doing was going from the house to the gym, and that was it. I was like, that's the biggest achievement of the day. I'm about less than 5 minutes away from the gym. Minutes away. And I get to the crossroad. It's an amber light. I'm like, I can go through. It's amber. I can go through. I get to the middle of the crossroads, and I get this huge amount of cars just like coming at me. And I'm like, whoa, okay, stop. So I obviously stopped. I've driven a lot, so I stopped. I was safe. And then when it was clear, before the next set of cars started to move on, I turned right, and lo and behold, there was a policeman. And he called me over, and I was like, uh-oh. And I'll have to apologise. My mum listens to this podcast and she doesn't know the story. I kept this away because I didn't want to tell her. So I got pulled over by pulled over by the police, and this policeman said, can I have your driving licence? And of course, I gave him my driving licence. I only had my UK driving licence. At this point, I was so early on into my time in Pakistan, I hadn't done any security briefings. I hadn't done any familiarisation of what to do and what not to do in this situation. And then as I've given him my driving licence, I was like, oh no, I've given him my driving licence. Why didn't I just hold it and show him? And now he's got it and he's taken it. And I'm thinking, oh no, I'm in so much trouble. My husband is going to kill me. I've got pulled over by the police, and now I've given him my driving licence, and I've only been on my own out the house for 15 minutes at this point. Anyway, I did nothing. I could do nothing else but just start crying in this moment.
Oh.
And I'm just crying and crying. And this poor policeman, he looks at me. And in Islamic culture, it's really frowned upon to make a lady cry, which I didn't know at the time.
Okay.
But my friends have since told me that this was actually a good thing to do, which it wasn't planned like this.
Okay, so natural reaction saved you.
My natural reaction saved me. And he looked and he started like tapping his policeman friend and was like, oh my God, what do I do with this woman? She's crying. And he said, why are you weeping? And I just said, I've been here for like one day and I thought it was okay. And they just looked at me and thought, oh my God, what do I do? Because I think they'd started to think that they were going to be in trouble. So they handed back my driving licence and said, welcome to our country. You're our guest here, and just have it. So bless them. They literally saved me that morning, and I then went and had to just call my husband and just like, what have I done? And he's like, it's okay. This doesn't ever happen. You've just been extremely unlucky, and it never has happened ever again. So after driving all of that time,
here you go.
Sometimes, unfortunately. And I think this is what it's really good to remember. You do build up confidence when you keep pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, don't you? Like every time you do it, you feel a bit more comfortable. But ultimately, sometimes when you are in a new country, new cultures, you don't know what's the right and what's the wrong, and you're going to make mistakes.
Exactly.
And in my situation, I was a bit unlucky. But I think it's unlucky because most of your time, and I found this, driving in Kenya, driving in Pakistan, most of the time people they just do their own thing. So like you say, you can drive really slow, you can drive really cautiously, and everything is okay, isn't it?
Exactly. As long as you, Anna said, you just put yourself out there.
Yes.
Because I think if you look at this lifestyle, right, and the amazing opportunities and adventures we have, when we become a diplomatic partner, however you look at it, in a way, the dependence is baked into the system. It comes as part of the package, although it's never labeled this way. Mm-hmm. But even we officially call dependence our status, let's say you're in Nairobi now, it depends on your husband, everything is linked to him. Mm-hmm. So this dependence bit, it's intrinsic to the lifestyle, and the system has created it. So, and I think the best you can do, and I really like your job is your priority is not to become dependent. Like, you really need to do whatever you can, whatever is in your power at any given time, not to succumb to this dependence trap, I call it.
Yes.
How do you see it, Emma?
I completely agree. I think dependency in itself, like you say, is completely within the system. And even just down to the information when you're even doing the move, you don't know what the timelines are, you don't know what the protocols are, because all of the policies, the rules are all in their hands.
Yes.
And in fact, I did talk about this once a little bit. I think that can, just that in itself, having a lack of information, a lack of control, a lack of knowing, can put us partners into a huge spiral of frustration, I think. And
Yes.
I have taken it upon myself to go, well, no. If it's not on my, if I don't know anything about it, it's not on my list. And actually changing that, the balance of responsibilities. And I think that in itself can be hugely liberating if we can start to reframe some of the systematic things that we can't control and we can't change. But the
Absolutely.
things that we can control and that we can change, those are the things that we need to focus on. So really understanding who you are as a person, having that in, who am I, what do I like to do, who am I outside of this relationship and outside of this situation that I'm now in, and what do I do to always maintain that sense of independence. Because like you say, there are some things that we can't control and we can't change in this current situation. So I think it's about really understanding all of the aspects of dependency, and then identifying which ones we can control, which ones we can't control, and what we can do about it. And maybe it is the ones that we can't control that we then say, well, we want to change it, and who can we speak to try and change it, if that's the case.
Yes, absolutely. And I think we're both doing it right to a degree with advocacy and just raising awareness and sounding alarm, when we can, and say, hey guys, that's actually not okay. Because, and I think we've also already talked about it, that if you don't know that, that you have to be extremely careful in a way, really make sure you maintain your sense of self and your independence. It's very easy to lose yourself, because let's say if there's so many things that you cannot do on the external level, it does something to you. It's chipping away at your confidence. And
Yes.
also the longer you do it, I mean, like you can imagine, the effects will be bigger and bigger, and
Yes.
potentially, and I mean, not so much irreparable, but really you don't want to end up in a place like that. And I think what you touched upon, Amma, that exactly. So let's talk about it.
Yeah.
What do you reckon are the signs where you feel, hey, this is actually a red flag? If you feel like this, because, or maybe let's go back one step and just postulate once more. So there are some things you cannot, like say, unfortunately, right now they are as they are.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's save our energy and time, or just park them somewhere. Okay, it
Yeah.
is what it is. What can we do at any given time to still, with what we have, make the most out of it and still have this sense of like, hey, I'm in control here.
Yeah. I think for those things that we can't control are things like the policies, the rules,
Yep.
some of the practical aspects of moving from one
Yep.
country to another. We don't have any say. I mean, we can potentially have a say in communication of, these are the 10 countries that are coming up on the jobs postings. Are there any ones that you would like to go to, any ones that you really don't want to go to? We can have those conversations with partners, and I'd hope that partners take into account our preferences too. But ultimately, whether they get a particular country that we like or we don't like is completely out of our control, because it's how they perform in the interview, who's against them in terms of candidates. We don't have a clue on the timeline of the move. We don't. So, moving from countries to country, when that's happening, how it's happening, we have no control over that. So it's really about saying that in every single country, there are always positives and negatives, I think. There are always things that, experiences that you could have in one country or travel around to that country that you wouldn't have somewhere else. And I think just focusing on the positives as well as the negatives and really trying to give yourself that balanced approach in any of these contexts of the practicals and the logistics and the policies, just understanding that there are pros and cons with every perspective can really help you just to reframe and settle into this idea that that's okay, because I could have this and that would be great, or I could have this and that would be great for different reasons. What about you? What do you think about the things we can't control?
Exactly. I actually do think, well, there are some uncontrollables, and I think like battling against them or resisting them, it's just going to drain your energy. And when you said, okay, we do have a say, hopefully you said our spouse or our partner would listen to us when we discuss potential postings. I'd hope they do. For heaven's sake, we're sure they have to. Like, I
Yes.
think that's like, if this is not a country I want to be, well, it has to be plan B or C or
Yes.
something.
Yes.
And again, obviously, whether you go somewhere or not, it doesn't come down to you or even to your partner. It's at the end of the day, it's the ministry that decides, right, or where to send people. Um, so I would really almost say, okay, these are uncontrollables. I still would like to maintain some control, exactly deciding and talking to my partner where we would like to go, because looking at what I potentially will be able to do there or not. Let's say if I have
Yes.
kids, I would definitely look at schools, like are there any good schools?
Yeah.
Because we would never apply to go to some Pacific islands just because there are no schools for the kids. So there are a lot. If you have a family, and I think you're kind of then the family representative, you're the family
Yes.
CEO. So kind of negotiating there on behalf of your family, your kids, but also
Yes.
ultimately what's beneficial for you as a unit. But then really like, what about you? Is it okay? Like, is it safe enough for you to be on the street as a woman?
Yes.
Like things like that. And I think it's good to maybe read the post report and say, hey, I don't know. I don't think it's a place where I'll be ever happy. And I
Yeah.
think if you feel like I really have to sacrifice here because my spouse is going to benefit greatly career wise, I don't know, like sit down and go through pros and cons, because I think we also said it before. If you start with resentment, if resentment creeps
Yes.
in, that's the beginning of the end. We don't want
Abs-
that.
no, absolutely not. And I completely agree with you. It's the open communication, and I think lots of people forget about the planning the life bit. So people plan the move, they plan how much, what luggage they can take, how, they might question, what facilities are we going to have in our home, and all of these are important, but actually planning the life and deciding. And I think this is another great point in terms of posting. There are different postings that are more suitable for different times of life. So,
Yes.
and so it's not even to say that one country is great all of the time.
No.
We've talked about the fact that being in Europe, for example, is great if you want to be closer to home. But we don't have any desire right now to be closer to home. But in two, because we can get there fairly easily. In the sense of like we have the
Yes.
freedom, we have the independence to just get up and go. Whereas in a few years' time, maybe our whole family situation has changed, and we want to be closer to home. And I think also just having that that holistic perspective, like you say, being a family CEO is a wonderful title. I love that. To just say what is best for our family right now, and then
Exactly.
and just continue to refresh it every few years, and also know that within that time, or you're 3 or you're 4 years away, if your priorities change as a family, that's okay too, and those conversations need to happen. And ultimately, yes, our partners might be prioritizing their career initially, and that's why you're away, but ultimately their priority should be the health, the happiness of their entire family, and their job is sprinkles on top of the cake, you know?
Exactly. Because, like, what is the point of having an amazing career when you know the price you're going to pay for it is your family?
Yes.
Well, I don't think it's like for me that would be a no-brainer. Because at the end of the day, no one, like, I'm sorry, when you're on your deathbed, no one says, "Hey, bring in my Cambridge degree. I want to kiss it one more time." Oh, I've opened that many missions in that many countries. No, no one is, I hope, looking for that
Yes.
at the end of the day. And I think, yes, definitely, it's all ever changing and evolving. And I think, Emma, what you said, we spend so much time working out the logistics, or for that matter, even planning our holidays, to compare and
Yes.
really looking after yourself and planning your life. I say it's like you're going on holidays, the family, especially when kids come along. Um, s- let's say if you only do it around if you live your life around his career, and the kids and their well-being, and kind of forget yourself, it's like you're going on holidays. You packed everyone's suitcase and you forgot your own.
Yes.
Like, I have nothing, nothing to wear. So you really have to think what works for us as a family. But please think you are your equal partner
Yes.
in this move. You come as a package, and you have like 50% right to say that's actually not in my interest right now,
Yes. 100%. And I think
right?
about having I think what's difficult, I think, and this is maybe some of the things that we can control now, is this idea of open communication. I am pretty much 100% sure that everybody at some point has had a something that has annoyed them, or they've had a worry or a fear, and they haven't felt comfortable or confident enough to speak to their partner openly, maybe because they fear that their partner might be defensive or argumentative with them. So, actually, I think when we're talking about the things that we can control, one of the first signs that you could maybe recognize within yourself is or questions that you can reflect on, how comfortable do I feel having these open, honest conversations where I don't need to be defensive, they don't need to be defensive, but we can just treat them as facts and as objectively as we can, because obviously we can't say that we're having a completely objective conversation
Yes.
here. No one can say that, but in as much as we possibly can, how can we just drop our barriers a little bit and talk freely and openly with each other? I'd say that that was probably one of the biggest and the most important first steps for anybody, I think. What do you think?
I totally agree with you. But as I was listening to you, Emma, and nodding with every word, I think obviously, like, you're a team, right? And you're going an amazing adventure. And maybe, he's a captain, you're co-pilot, and then you swap, right? But you really kind of went together to choose the destination and talk about, like, why you're doing this. Like, not for the sake of what? Like, if it's the family and strengthening the bond and growing together, I think it's important to make sure you kind of guys are on the same page. Have the same values. That's
Yes.
what you both want. Because if you realize, well, he's actually really just into career, and it's not that interesting to him, let's say, to have this, like, I don't know. I think maybe, because this is one thing I really can say, some couples go overseas because they know, it's kind of not working quite well. But if I'm abroad and we have a change of scenery, we are dealing with new issues, it's going to fix our relationship. No, it's
Yes.
always kind of, it's going to amplify
I was literally just
all the
thinking about that.
issues,
Yeah.
all the issues you guys have,
Yes.
and that's why. Really, and I think before you have any open and honest conversation with anyone, please do it with yourself.
Yes.
Really. Like you need to know what you want, what you need, what thrills you, what makes you happy, what brings you joy. Because if you don't, it's a recipe for, yeah, feeling resentful, unhappy, overlooked, invisible, unworthy.
Yes. One little tool that has really helped us, if you don't
Hmm.
mind me sharing,
Sure.
we hold a, I mean, we call it like our AGM or our quarterly general meeting or something. We create it as like a thing, where we set aside, and it might be really informal. We might do it over lunch, but we just
Hmm.
generally talk about what are our joint goals together. What are our like travel plans for the next few
Hmm.
months? Um, where are my own personal goals at? What are his personal goals? What I this is usually where I'm the one that's a lot more vocal. How can I how oh my goodness, I can't speak. What support do I need from him to help me get my goals? And then I offer my support. What can I do? And then he normally says, "No, you're doing everything." And I think, tap on my back. Whereas I have this,
Already.
I get my big long list out, and I think, well, you could do some more washing up, and you could do this. But I think it's a nice idea because it allows us to have these like this as much detached conversation as we possibly can, and it's part of our regular routine. Whereas sometimes I think these conversations, this open communication, it can automatically feel like a defensive or argumentative situation if it's random. Not random, but
Hmm.
doesn't happen on a regular basis where it feels like, okay, we're going to have a sit down talk now, like it's a serious conversation. That's automatically can make people feel on edge and nervous.
Everyone
And
is on the fence, right? If you say we're going to have a conversation, everyone's like, "Oh shit,
exactly,
what did
exactly.
I do?"
Exactly. It's a horrible feeling, isn't it?
No,
So,
yes.
you have to just, I think, by setting aside, and however it works for you, setting aside regular points of time where you can have this conversation. Everyone knows it's just normal, everyone knows you're preparing for it. And, you're just going to bring what you want to bring to the table. And it's
That's
great.
right. I think it's brilliant. It's really, I was thinking, it's like, when you guys do that, it's like allowing you to have this helicopter view of what's going on because we know life is so busy and you really, like, we get lost in the trees. We just always see our trees when living day to day life
Yeah.
and really need to raise above it and have this, okay, this is the actually what I see. This is the landscape. This is the map. I'm navigating, I'm trying to get somewhere and have my checkpoints. This is the goal, and we're meeting, and like it feels like, it's amazing teamwork, and it feels like, we're in it together. How
Yes.
can I help you? That's how I would like you to help me. But again, it's awesome. I think it's an amazing idea and should be in everyone's toolbox.
Yes.
Like my quarterly meeting, the enterprise, the family
Yes.
enterprise, the minutes. And
Yeah.
again, and then everyone knows it's coming and just keeps you on track. You have your checkpoints. I would call
Yeah.
them checkpoints. And again, it's not like you're uh, lost in the woods because all you
Yes.
see are trees.
Yeah.
And it kind
And
of gives you more control, right?
absolutely.
The feeling of control.
And I would just love your opinion, Anna. Sorry, I was kind of jumping in there. I was just too
Sure.
excited about asking you this question.
Yes.
How do you navigate that open type of communication with children? And I'm just interested. Obviously, I'm speaking from this point of view as
Hmm.
you and your partner, who ultimately are the driving force around the family moves. Yeah. So how do you have that open communication with your children in the same way? Does it work in the same way, or do you have different ways?
Obviously, that's a brilliant question, first of all. Thank you for asking. And as you can imagine, when the kids are little, it's very different. Like, their priorities. Remember when we were moving with young kids, the only thing they wanted to is like, can I take my teddy bear with me? It's like, yes, you
Ah,
can. Right? Or things
yes.
like that. And obviously, once they start, when they get bigger and bigger, or like now I have teenagers and they have to be involved. But I'd say still you as parents, kind of you decide the direction, but then the kids, they have a say. There's no way you can force a teenager to do something against your child's will. I think it's not clever. And that's why, how do you say, okay, this is what we think as mom and dad, and here are your options, and we are supporting you, and we think that would be a great way of doing it. But I think I've told it before, and probably by now everyone knows, but I have 3 kids, and my middle child is in a boarding school in Australia. I really would love her to come here. Really, like every time she sees, like, hey, are you still happy? Don't you want to? I miss her a lot, and actually, with time, it gets harder, not easier.
Yeah.
I want her to be here, but just no, I'm happy where I am, mom. So
Yes.
I really have to acknowledge and say, hey, that's what she wants. I cannot force her. Like, I cannot. And
Yeah.
how this is open communication. And kind of, you have, I can say, Alex, if I really, really miss you,
Yeah.
I really wish you were here.
Yeah.
But I think that's, as a mom, that's the ultimate act of love. You kind of let go and let them
Yes.
be, you know?
Yeah, and I guess this also links back to communicating with family back in the home country who may not under they might understand the situation, but you know, family always want you to be around and they want access to you and to grandchildren and all of those things, that actually having that respect of each other's freedom and free will and choice is very important in this situation. And whether we like it or whether we don't like it, it's just to let them do it and just know that they're making the right decision for themselves, which, and be there to support them if and when things change. Yeah.
Absolutely. Because Emma, we both know if you kind of pleasing people and just pacify everyone and give in to what they want to the cost of not pleasing yourself, no one will be pleased or happy.
Yes, no one will. And I think that brings back to that
No.
this whole idea of dependency and independence. It's about focusing ultimately on yourself and making sure that you're happy in the situation, or as and having feeling empowered as much as you possibly can. And I wonder whether with this topic, obviously, if we think about this broad umbrella of dependency, and we're talking about the things that we can't control, and today we've talked about what we can control and that open communication, then over the next few episodes, we'll pick apart some of the other key things that we can do to identify whether we are if we're in a dependency trap, and then the practical tools that what we can do then to really help ourselves get out of it.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds great. And I
And
think we'd like to obviously get everyone's input.
yes.
Kind of, we offer to be your chat GPT and Google search engine. Like, if you have any questions that really keep you awake at night and you feel I'm too embarrassed to ask anyone, like, I'd like you to ask those questions. We are going to create a survey or a form, right? Emma, we are
Yes.
thinking you kind
Yeah.
of, you don't we don't want we want to respect your privacy, but I just want you to know that if you have a question and you think it's silly, like, I guarantee you we all have that silly question and we all
Yes.
want it to be answered.
Yes. So I think if we can we'll make the link completely anonymous so that you don't have to have any identifying information. We won't know who you are, and
Exactly.
we can literally just look at the questions and we can talk about it. And really, the whole idea of this podcast is, yes, for us to be able to talk and to share our experiences, but it's also about making sure that other people feel valued and they're also getting really good tools to help in their current situation. So if you be as specific and give us as much detail as you possibly want to give us and to share with us in this anonymous survey link, and whether it's just a topic that you want us to talk about or whether it's a specific question about your circumstances, then that's either is absolutely fine. Or if you just want to ask a question to me, myself, or to Anna about where we are and what we're doing, then I'm kind of answering for yourself there, Anna. I've just thrown this at you.
Okay,
then
I'm nodding. I agree. I'm nodding. Yes.
then we're happy to answer those questions, I think.
Yes.
So just really take this as an opportunity to make this podcast your your own life. And I love what Anna said, your ChatGPT, your Google, and we'll
Yes.
share. And I think what's nice about this situation is, yes, we're coming from our own two experiences, but our also experiences has been developed, and our perspective is developed from speaking to many, 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 many spouses and partners. So yes, we give our point of view, but we can also know that we've probably spoken to someone else that has had a completely similar experience and similar feelings.
Exactly. Yeah. I yes, I'm nodding here because that's true. It feels like we're talking about our unique individual experience, but I also know this is a collective experience. And all the listeners, to a degree, like, larger, lesser degree, thinking, hey, me too.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, this has been so nice, as always, Anna. And I wish you a
Amazing.
wonderful week ahead of driving and being independent and feeling free. Just keep yourself nice and safe.
Exactly. I'm going to continue driving everyone nuts.
Yes.
Here in Lebanon with my cautious, like, because here it's actually the survival of the fittest. It's really a jungle.
Yes.
So there'll be the crazy lady who drives and waves to everyone
Yes.
40 kilometers an hour. No, I'm joking. I won't do that. But yes, thank you so much, Emma, and same to you. Enjoy your summer break. And
Thank
yeah,
you. Wonderful. And if anyone needed to find you, Anna, where can they find you?
they can find me on Instagram, not just a spouse, LinkedIn. My long last name will be mentioned in the notes, and
Yes.
where else? Oh, I have a website too,
Yes.
notjustaspouse.com. What
Wonderful.
about you, Emma?
And you can find me at the Zesty Life on Instagram, or you can find my email in the show notes. And just do everything that you're possibly doing. Like, subscribe, rate the podcast, tell a friend. We really are getting some amazing feedback and amazing downloads. It's been really, really wonderful. So thank you everyone for listening, and we're looking forward to speaking to you next time.
Bye, everyone.
See you
Bye,
later.
Emma.
Bye.